Welcome back to Mr. Matt's teaching channel, and today we're going to be covering the basics of gymnastics. We're going to be starting with the 4 basic shapes and how these can be used when jumping. These shapes form the basis of more advanced moves in gymnastics, so it's very important that we are both aware of them and that we master them. The first shape is called the straight, and this is where both your feet and hands are stretching away from your body. Your ankles and wrists are together and your abdominals are engaged, and you're really trying to get your body as straight as possible. For this shape, we need to be on our tiptoes and our balance needs to remain stable throughout the movement. This shape can be performed both standing up and lying down, as we can see from the video. The next shape is the tuck. And the tuck forms the basis of the somersaults and more advanced moves. And this is where your knees are coming towards your chest, your heels are coming towards your bottom, and your head is going down towards your knees. Your arms can either be straight out in front of you or also tucked down by your side. When you're in this position, you should really feel your muscles tensing to keep you stable. Our third shape is the straddle. This is where your legs are straight as possible and away from your body. Your toes should be pointing downwards in a plantar flexion position. Your hands would be straight and pointing towards your toes, and your head will be in a downward position going towards your knees. Our final shape is called the pike, and this is where your legs come together. Your feet are still straight with your toes pointing downwards in a plantar flexion position and your hands pointing towards your toes. When we look at that movement from the front, we hopefully can see that your body still needs to be in a tense position and your abdominals contracting to keep you in and maintain that stable balance. So moving from the floor on the basic shapes, we can apply all of those shapes to jumps. And these jumps can be off the floor, like I'm about to demonstrate, or they can be from low-level equipment such as benches, or even from higher level equipment such as box tops and trestle tables. Pay particular attention to the way of the landing. You're going to be landing toes first, with your knees also coming down a little bit for the impact. The straight jump is the easier jump out of the 4 to control, and this is because for all of the other 3 jumps, the tuck, the pike and the straddle, you're going to need to bring your legs upwards and downwards before you land. As you've just observed with the tuck jump, your hands are also going to need to go down towards your knees and back up when you land. For the straddle jump and the pike jump, your hands are going to need to go towards your feet, and we're trying to make sure that your feet and toes are still pointing downwards throughout your movement. The straddle and the pike jump are considered the 2 most difficult jumps to control, and you really do need to generate power from the floor to get as high as possible in your jump. And to generate this power, you can use the movement of your arms to generate momentum through your movements. We're now going to look at the basic balances of gymnastics, and we're going to start off with a move called the dish. And for this move, you're going to start off in a straight position lying down, and then you're going to lift both your legs and your arms off the floor along with your head as well. If you flip over onto your front from this position and reverse the movements, lifting your arms and legs up off the floor, this move is called the arch. And if you continue from this position and move your arms up, take your body weight, you can move into a press-up position, and this is called front support. You obviously want to keep your back nice and straight. And again, if you reverse this movement, going to your front and lifting up onto your arms, trying to get your body nice and straight there and your head tilted back, this is called the back support. You can see that the fingertips are now facing forwards towards my feet. And from this position, we're going to be moving into the shoulder stand. The whole idea about the shoulder stand is to get your feet directly upwards off the floor, trying to really point into the sky and holding that position. You can see the hands are involved in this process. You can take the weight onto your elbows and place your hands at the bottom of your back to try to support your legs up in the sky. You can obviously move from this position into a pike and a straddle position. It's a little bit more difficult, requires a bit more flexibility, and you're definitely going to need to continue to engage your core. And for the final balance, we're going to be moving into the headstand. Now, I wouldn't recommend the headstand straight off if you've not done this before. Make sure you do take into account some progressions. But the basic teaching points are your hands need to be a bit further than shoulder width apart and in a line. Your head would then make a point, which would make a triangle as a solid base. You're obviously going to now engage your core, and it's really important to push those toes to the sky and keep them pointed throughout the movement. Again, similar to the shoulder stand, you can move your feet down into the pike position and also the straddle position as well. And the headstand concludes our balances, and we're now going to be moving on to our rolls. And the first roll is the dish arch roll. And as the name suggests, we're going to be using these two balances to form the basis of our roll. We're making sure that we're keeping our arms and feet off the floor at all time, and we're using our arms to develop momentum in our movement. And similarly, we can also link the two balances of the front and back support into a front and back support roll by moving your arms over your body, taking the weight onto one hand, quickly moving your feet. We'll now be moving into the sideways shoulder roll, and we need to get into the starting position. And for this, you need to kneel on one knee with the other leg out straight at the side. Take your arms across your body so they are straight. You need to take the shoulder down to the ground and roll on the ground on your shoulders before returning back up into the position in the opposite position you started in. So as you can see, it was my opposite knee, which is now kneeling on the ground. When you do start your roll, make sure you tuck your arms in towards your body to lower your levels of inertia and therefore speed up your movement. We'll now be moving into the forward roll. Again, if you've not done this before, I do recommend you go through some recommended progressions before attempting it. And we're going to go into a squat position. This is also known as the puck position. Make sure your feet are together and pointing forward with the weight on the balls of your feet. Your arms should be level with your shoulders, head up and back as straight as possible. When you do go into your movement, make sure your hands go down on the floor first with your fingers pointing forward. Your head should be tucked in, so your chin to chest. Push to extend the legs and raise your hips in towards the air. When you do go into your roll, make sure you keep your back curved, bend your knees as you roll over and place your heels as close to your hips and take the weight onto your feet. If you reverse this movement, you're going to be moving into your backwards roll. Again, start in the squat position. You're going to lean forward and rock back onto your hips with a curved back, still making sure your chin is to chest and your hands will land by your ears, ready to take your weight. It's very important that your fingers are pointing backwards, and as your hips pass over your head, you're going to push hard on your hands to land on your feet and return into that squat position. And that concludes our rolls. We're now going to be moving into rotations with both the cartwheel and the round off. Our first movement is going to be the cartwheel. For the cartwheel, the idea is you're going to be starting and finishing facing sideways. Your arm is going to come down on the floor. They're going to be just over shoulder width apart. You're going to be using your legs as momentum, bringing them over your head in a fast motion to generate momentum through your movement. For both the cartwheel and the round off, you're going to need to take your body weight onto your hands, so you might want to develop some strength building exercises. The round off follows a very similar starting pattern to the cartwheel. However, the differences with the round off is halfway through your movement. So as your hands come down, you're going to rotate and twist your legs and your hips so you're landing with 2 feet together. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you've managed to understand the basics of gymnastics.